So this is called the Ego Continued, or the Ego Part 2. So I made a video about the ego, and the ego is a funny thing. Of course, it's a big subject, and so it would require more than a single video to flesh the entire thing out. And so it's kind of funny. I mean, the ego is a funny thing, and so is the universe. And so there's this thing where it's like, they say, what do they say, be the change, or you are, they say be the change you want to see in the world, but it's more like you are the change that you want to see in the world. Like if life is a reflection, and it mirrors back to where you're at. So it's kind of like, yeah, life is a mirror. And so, I sit there and I say something like, oh, well, this is my understanding of the ego, and this is how, you know, and how I conduct myself and all that kind of stuff, right? And then it's like the universe gave me a little reflection, and it's like, they say it's like you never change the world. I mean, you don't, you never, yeah, just to say, you don't change the world, you change who you are on the inside, and then the world reflects that back to you. And so it's this funny thing about walking your walk and not just talking, yeah, walking your walk and talking your talk, and like being the embodiment of your teachings. I mean, it's very easy to just say things without actually not so much believing or understanding, but practicing them in their entirety. And it's not about being perfect, but it's, I mean, you have to kind of put your money where your mouth is when it comes to this kind of stuff. And so the universe gives you all the opportunities that you need to recognize whether or not you do put your money where your mouth is, and whether you how much more work you have to do. And I mean, there's lots of work to be done. So it's like, I ended up going to work, and I was doing, I work at a place, and I was part of my job includes a bit of landscaping, and so I had the opportunity to prune trees. Now, pruning trees is something that I do for fun. As a fruitarian, I love fruit, especially in season, local, dirt grown, all that kind of stuff, organic. And so I take care of a few people's orchards just in exchange for access to the fruit. I can come and take fruit anytime that I want without having to ask. And I mean, it's only for me. It's not like I'm feeding an army here or anything like that. It's just, and so that is the arrangement. And so over the years, I've developed an understanding of this. I used to work in the greenhouse industry, so I have friends. I've been able to acquire an amount of knowledge. By no means am I a master gardener. Do I know everything? But I do have a green thumb. I always have, and I love plants, and I have I feel a sense of connection to plants and trees in particular. I like to say I speak a bit of plant because they speak to you through their, not so much through their behavior, but like how they, you can tell if you're doing something wrong. You too much water, too much light, not enough of, of this or that, or there's all kinds of things, overcrowding. And then yeah, I feel really connected to the plants, and so I love working with them. It is a joy in my heart. I would almost, if I didn't have another path, I would start a business doing like big changes to people's gardens who've let them overgrow and then come in and fix things. And so this place that I'm working at is a prime example of a place that I needed a little bit of TLC. And so I was out there doing it, and it was, I started receiving a little bit of pushback from what I was doing. And, it's understandable, because when you're making big changes, anybody who loves plants, it's just like, but it's like, okay, no, this is good. And I think that's why people don't fix their gardens a lot of the time, is because it takes, you just have to make an executive decision. You have to have a vision, and you just have to go with it. And you have to, You have to just make moves, and you have to really feel into it, as well as, yeah, it's not so much thinking, it's just feeling, and just like, and then like going at it and coming back to it, and then, I mean, and making big changes. Sometimes you got to pull the trigger. And so I was doing this, and then like, I did all this stuff, and then it was like, yeah, they were starting like, they're like happy but not happy, but it was weird too, kind of like saying that not happy with what I'm doing, and then tell me to do the thing that I'm doing. And it's just like, okay, cool, I can work through this. And then it came to the fruit trees. And so I've been taught, I mean, there are a number of approaches to pruning fruit trees. There's different ways of cultivating these plants, but the way that I was taught is very much to do with the cultivation of the fruit. You cut anything that goes up, like the suckers that go up, the ones that go in towards the center of the tree, and anything that's dead. And then mostly ones that are going across, more or less. And then like you try to thin things out so that there is always room to breathe and lots of airflow. I mean, that kind of thing. I mean, I feel like the trees appreciate it because they can't do it themselves. So to have a human being who loves them to come in and do his absolute best to create an environment which is good for the organism, right? So I think there's a synergy there anyways. And so, I'm doing this, and I'm doing a great job. It is something that's in my heart. I love doing it. And, someone comes over and tells me I'm doing it all wrong, and it's like, I'm taken back, of course. And it's like, so, it's like, okay, I have to handle this situation because this person is the boss, right? So it's, at the end of the day, it's like the customer is always right. Where the boss is right. Whether it's right or wrong, it's their place, and what they say goes. And that is, so you really have to conflict resolution there. Even you can't let your ego flare up, and so this is what I'm getting to, is my own ego, because it's like, I'm doing such a great job as far as I'm concerned. Everybody else has just been nothing but praise, but the people that matter are the people that you're doing it for. And if they don't like what you're doing, that's an issue. And so I was told that I was doing it wrong. You're supposed to leave the ones that go up on, and then like do this and that. And it's like, I was taught differently, because if you let the plant go up and then the fruit forms up there, how do you pick it? It's very difficult to pick. There's a lot of energy going up there, and then they will just fall down. The fruit will fall on the ground, be bruised. It won't be edible, and attract bees and things like that, and other animals. It's better when the branches are hanging down, so that, and if it's up like that, then the fruit doesn't stay on them. So it's just like, everything that I know is like, I'm doing it right. I looked it up on the internet. It says I'm doing it right. And then there was this thing about pruning. This person was worried about pruning trees in the summertime. And they're just like, no, it's going to get diseases, and we don't even know if the tree's going to recover. So it's just like this huge like guilt thing. And it's just like, geez, what did I do here? And I apologized a bunch of times, not because I was actually sorry, but I'm sorry that it upset this person. But like, so it's like how to handle the situation without getting, you have to mind the things that you say, and you have to kind of just like let it go, because, you could challenge, but that's not good if it's where you work. If you need a job, it's not good to challenge the boss too much, right? I mean, and they're just doing their best too. It's not about like, nobody's a bad person or this and that. It's just we're all humans navigating this thing. And so but you have to like, yeah, find your way. And it's like, I'm all of a sudden starting to feel not appreciated for putting in huge efforts. Everything that I have, I'm putting into this project to like bring it to completion and to really make like a significant impact. And it's like, that part of you that gets hurt, that's your ego. The part of you that requires validation, that's the ego. The part of you that wants to challenge or push back or argue, that's the ego. And it is possible to not do that. And so this was my opportunity. I don't look at it as like, oh well, this happened with this person and I don't like this. It's like, no, this is an opportunity that the universe is presenting to me to see if I actually practice what I preach. Am I the embodiment of my teaching, or am I a bag of wind? Am I just saying things and then kind of doing something else, which is, I guess, a hypocrite as well. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a funny thing, learning to work with this energy, but it's just like anything. I think of it as like reaction times. It's like the more you are aware of it, the more you learn to work with it, you get better at it. And then, at first you might get upset, calm yourself, calm, centered, grounded, and then all of a sudden, and then you catch yourself, and then until it becomes real time, and then it just all goes away, and you're able to not take things personally and kind of see through what's taking place and actually make the benefit of it. Because it's like, how else is the universe supposed to reflect things to you? And then they say it's like, so if you react the same way to the same situation as you used to, then the universe isn't going to reflect anything different to you. But if you react in a way that is in alignment with like what you're saying is your truth, and then the universe has no option but to reflect that back to you. So it's as a way of like shifting dimensions through to a more say positive experience by changing the world within. That's why it's like, yeah, you don't change anything out there. In here, it's all about here, all fingers pointed this way, all of them. And so, yeah, I mean, like, it's a funny thing, gardening, is a thing that I wanted to, we were like looking about all this stuff, and it's just like, I was hurt. And this is, of course, my ego, because it's like, man, I love plants so much. I'm doing I figure I'm doing a good job. And it's like, there's word that I was doing damage, and it's like, okay, let that go. And, so we ended up going for a walk and talking about stuff about the rest of the garden and things like that, and just sharing about different things going on. There's a couple of books that I love about gardening. So, like, there's a couple of instances, there's likely more, right? But, like, that where, like, people went to a place, a piece of land or something like that, and they ended up having contact with, say, nature entities, nature spirits kind of things, and they taught them how to work with the land and how to create a partnership with nature. And so the first one is, and so my great friend told me about this kind of stuff. She's a blueberry farm, and yeah, I go pick blueberries for like half an hour, then we talk for like 2 hours. It's so much fun because we're all into this stuff. But like, so the first one is called The Elves of Lily Hill Farm, a partnership with nature by Penny Kelly. And so it's like, just without going, and then the other one is the Findhorn Garden Story. So this one is down in the States, and this one is in Scotland, the Findhorn Garden Story. And so it's just like, it's just about the relationship that we have with nature and all of the elements of nature, with the bugs, with the fungi, with the other animals, with the plants, the different plants, with water, with the earth, with everything, and it is about, yeah, because you might think, okay, well, this is my garden and I'm going to do this, and these pests aren't supposed to be here, and therefore I'm going to eradicate them. I'm going to poison them, or we're going to get rid of them, even though it's like, hold on a second, hold on a second. This is like not all about you. I mean, it'd be nice. No, it wouldn't be. I mean, yeah, planet Earth, anyways. And so, and the thing is that it's like, so it is a philosophy and a way of gardening that is about inclusion as opposed to exclusion, and like integration as opposed to segregation. You make agreements, you make alliances with, say, certain insects, and you learn about other ways of farming that is like more holistic, that is like everything working together in a synergy, and so then you don't run into some of these other problems. It's amazing what you can avoid with respect. There's such a deep word, respect. And yeah, like just working with things rather than against, yeah. And so, yeah, thinking of others and not just yourself, because this is one of the things too why it's super important to buy organic produce. It's like people are like, oh, there's no difference. It's like, well, okay, there is a difference. Because if you are buying conventional produce that is grown on using chemical fertilizers, using things like, or even just fertilizer that comes from manure, like from animal feces. I mean, like if you compost all of the nutrients from, like in the rind has a huge amount of nutrient density. Then when you compost, that goes into the soil. It feeds the soil. It feeds the bugs. It feeds the mycelium. It feeds everything. It feeds the plants. So it's just like, this is the cycle of nature, instead of like an animal which eats some food, and not a huge variety, like say cows or pigs or chickens or whatever, and then the body strips all of the nutrient value from that, and then poops out something that, yes, plants can utilize, but it's like then you're growing hollow food. It's missing the elements of nutrition that our bodies are looking for. And it's like, and if anybody's using any kind of chemical pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, I mean, that stuff is going into the water, it's going into the ocean. There are so many other animals and organisms that are come into contact with that kind of stuff. It is not fair to treat them that way, to subject them to that. I mean, that's how disease comes up in the body when you are exposed to things that are toxic. So, organic is important, yeah, for all of those reasons, because it's not just about you. And then maybe just to finish this whole thing, the whole thing with the ego and like having to handle yourself, having to keep your composure in a situation, it's just that, remember that it's not all about you, and it's not about you. When somebody's behaving in a way that can get your goat, right? It's like, when a person is peaceful and happy and well educated and critical thinking and just very friendly and nice, they don't come at you with stuff. you know, and that's it. That's what, you know, when you feel attacked, or when you feel, you know, that's when. So it's like when somebody's exhibiting that behavior, it is. It's just because they don't know any better. Like, obviously, if they knew better, they wouldn't do that. So, yeah, I mean, handle every situation with compassion and patience and humility. You know, because you could be wrong about things. You know, one truth doesn't nullify another. There's many ways to approach different issues, and it's like there are many truths, and so it's important to remain open to that. And then also, you know, how I'm going to handle this situation is when I go in on Monday, I'm going to say, hey, you know, like, just with integrity and compassion, be like, hey, so, you know, I went and talked to such and such a person, and so I found out. So, I mean, even if you Google it, you can trim fruit trees at any time of the year with zero detriment to the plant at all. All that we're doing is we are uh, changing the direction that the energy is going, essentially. Yeah, and so no problems there. And I got more too, because it's like I live in a place where there's like a permaculture guild, and there's some people that are having a plant sale, and they have all these like super like not common stuff, things that you're not going to find at your greenhouse, more like heirloom things. Like, you know, you're gonna find your loganberries and your black raspberries, and like all these different kinds of grasses and da 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 to spice up the gardens. So, you know, it's like, don't give up on a person, don't judge a person, just you know, be there. Yeah, let's lift each other up, you know, not condemn a person. That ain't no good. And it takes practice, right? I work, like I said, you know, it's what I'm going through right now. Even with whatever I think I know about any of this stuff, it's just like, with a sense of humility, okay, let's do this and move forward, you know. And it was on Friday. I was like, oh man, thank God it's Friday, because I was done. You know, I had to calm down, but yeah, I'm ready to move forward, and in a mature, respectable manner, you know. So that is that. And happy gardening.